Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm going to be starting a new section now where I'm going to be ranking our studio albums and live albums from all of our favourite bands and everything in between. I'm going to look at classic rock acts, which are my favourite, all the way through to some newer stuff, so I'm going to have to really delve in myself and learn some new bands and look through their catalogue. So those ones might take me a little bit of time, but hang in there. We'll start with the classics and we'll get through to some of the newer stuff. I'm going to keep it to a top 10. So the bands, the bigger bands like from the 70s that have now on their 20th, 21st, 22nd, 23rd, etc. We're going to keep that just to a straight top 10. A lot of bands don't have 10 albums, so it's going to be easy. So I'd like to keep it to a top 10, no more, no less. We're going to get into live albums a little bit as well, but they'll have their own section. So get myself into this nice and easy. We're going to start with probably the easiest ranking the album section I'm ever going to do. And that is from the monster band Guns N Roses. Oh, and thank you for the cut, by the way, Rich the Wizard. This one's a really, really easy one for me. I love Guns N Roses, or should I say I love part of Guns N Roses. So let's kick it off. The easiest one first. Guns N Roses, ranking the albums in total. So, number 6, absolute shit album. Spaghetti Incident. I re-listened to it again recently, and yeah, I mean, how do you do that after creating some, what we call rock history just a few years earlier? Tracks to look out for: Down on the Farm, possibly. Since I Don't Have You. It's quite a lazy covers album. I'm sure there's a backstory to it, why they did that album. I don't really know, but yeah, it's not a good album. It really isn't. It really isn't at all. So that's my number 6. Number 5, again, not really something I care for, even in the slightest, is Lies. That's from 1988. So bearing in mind this came after Appetite and before, a couple of very notable albums. This was weak. This was really weak. I Don't Mind Patience. That's an okay track. Mummikin, which is a Aerosmith cover. That's okay. But when we're talking about great albums, you don't want to hear okay, and possibly That's Not a Bad track. Yeah, those two albums, 6th and 5th, are not my favourite. Number 4 would be the long-awaited Chinese Democracy. Now, this was in the wings for years and years, and I dread to think about the amount of money they spent on this. The main guitarist on all of the album tracks is a chap called Robin Fink, but live and when they got into the editing and everything else afterwards and touring, there were huge amounts of musicians that came in and out the door. The same as with producers. For me, personally, massive letdown. I was hoping this was going to be something that would succeed the Use Your Illusion series, but for me, didn't. Still a good little album. There's some really good parts of that, like Madagascar, like Catcher in the Rye. They're not bad. They're not bad. But again, what I said with I like part of Guns N' Roses. Those 3, you can keep those. Next 3. So number 3 would be Use Your Illusion 1. Now that album is, it's a cracker. They both, Use Your Illusion 1 and 2 came out at the same time. I think it was personally possibly a little bit of a mistake. They did very, very well with it. If you'd have combined 1 and 2, you'd basically, in my opinion, have probably one of the greatest hard rock albums of all time, and would easily be number 1 on this list. There's a bit of filler in Use Your Illusion 1, but then there are some great tracks. You've got the biggest hit of them all in November Rain on 1 as opposed to 2. And then you've got some, I love the version of Don't Cry on this. I know there's only slightly different lyrics, but this one holds more of a special place in my heart. So this album's from 1991. Bad Obsession's a cracker as well. Number 2, my favourite Use Your Illusion album, and probably I've got my 2 favourite songs by Guns N' Roses ever. So Use Your Illusion 1 starts off with Civil War, and for me, that's probably their greatest moment. Only just behind it would probably be Estranged, and then you've got great fun songs like Get in the Ring, Pretty Tied Up, and you don't want to go too much into the lyrics of those, but absolutely great album. Easily my number 2. Number one, I don't think couldn't be on anyone's list of greatest hard rock albums ever, but also has to be number one on anyone's list of Guns N' Roses ranking the albums or top albums, whatever you want to call this thing is. Yeah, the 1987 masterpiece, Appetite for Destruction. The album starts off with Welcome to the Jungle and finishes with a song that's probably got the best breakdown I have ever heard to this date in Rocket Queen. Going through It's So Easy, My Michelle, Night Train, Sweet Child of Mine. I mean, yeah, absolute cracker. In my opinion, they could have, well, obviously they were one of the biggest bands in the world, but they could have had a legacy like you wouldn't believe. But the three albums they did, the Appetite and Use Illusion 1 and 2, are really, 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 really fine pieces of work, masterpieces. The other three, literally wouldn't give them the time of day. They're a really weird band in that way, because the 1987, 1991, Use Illusion 1, Use Illusion 2, I mean, we can sit here and argue all day about them being some of the greatest rock tracks that I've ever written. I mean, the solo in November Rain, things like Estranged. I mean, the riff in Estranged is so different, and so it really hits you. It's absolutely great. My Michelle, Night Train, everything about those three albums are just perfect for me, anyway. But yeah, number 6, Spaghetti Incident, wouldn't buy it. Number 5, Lies, wouldn't buy it. Number 4, Chinese Democracy. If it's in the bargain bin, yeah, I'd have it. Number 3, Use Illusion 1. Great album. Number 2, Use Illusion 2. And number 1, easy, Appetite for Destruction. Hope you liked the video. If you've got any different order that you'd like to see them in, or you would put them in, drop it in the comment section below. I'm going to be doing this once a week now, in with some reaction videos and some review videos. I'm going to start playing a bit more guitar as well, so we can break down some guitar players and get a little bit deeper into that, so I hope you enjoy that too. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.